A fall road trip, ghost towns, and gold mining. That's what we're going to see today in this beautiful valley in Utah. This pioneer area is full of life and full of color. Come and join us as we head up the road to Kimberly Ghost Town, Utah. Welcome everyone to Weekend Escapades. We have found our way to Clear Creek Canyon. And on our way to go to Kimberly Ghost Town, we found this little ghost town homestead along the road. We just happened to make a wrong turn, and you never know what you'll find. But this looked like an amazing location. I wish we could have went on property, but it was private property. But take a look at these old pioneer dwellings that we found alongside the road. So let's get turned around and back on track. So back down the road we go the other direction and look at what we found. Sometimes when you're traveling down the road to get to your primary destination, you find some interesting things alongside the road that you just have to explore. And what we saw was a large hole in the side of a mountain with some bars right up there. And we're gonna go explore that right there. So that hole in the side of the mountain there with the bars on it looks like it says sheep shelter. And blanket pictograph is down here. We're gonna see what this is. And this is the legend of the Indian blanket. And I think what there is there's like a little telescope item right over here that you look through, and it shows you the location on the side of the mountain across the highway. So the blanket pictograph, which is across the highway, what that was is one of the Paiute women. The Paiutes used to travel this area to go to their winter homes through this area, and one of her children died in that travel, and she buried him there on the hill. And so then what happened was she painted a blanket, because she felt so bad about winter, she painted a blanket on the hillside to keep the child warm. We're gonna scale this trail going here. Looks like it's pretty steep and rocky, but we're gonna find that cave at the top. Okay, looks like we found it. The sheep shelter. And this looks like it was definitely carved into the side of the hill. And there's a mirror in here to where you can see the artwork that's inside. See it up there on the ledge? Now this is the artwork that's on the back side of this carved out section of the mountain. Now we had no idea we would find this here on our route to the ghost town, but we found this absolutely amazing, some of the things you find. So down the road, and it happened again, here's an amazing location with this old cabin, pioneer cabin, that lives here alongside the road, and we thought that this park was beautiful. Joseph Lott and his family built a cabin on this site in 1880s and were among the first pioneers to settle in Clear Creek Canyon, which we're looking at here. And there was a 160-acre homestead here. Now their family lived here for nearly 30 years and until the 1970s. The pioneer cabin was typically built by Utah settlers. Now they're not sure who built this cabin over here that we're going to take a look at, but the structure was been here from 1903 to 1953 in Junction, Utah. And in 1996, the descendants of Bernard's family donated the cabin to this state park. And we're going to take a look at that cabin. That is an amazing rock fireplace on this cabin, and this was moved here and restored to perfection. Beautiful cabin. When people say I live in a log cabin, I bet they're not thinking about this, because this construction is completely different than a modern day cabin, that's for sure. And yet another great find, a little detour off the main road. So as we were driving down the road to get to the Kimberly mine area, we came across this right here in the side of the hill. Got some what appears to be modern day carvings in front of it. It's like somebody made like a little, maybe it was a mine and they cemented it in. This is inside of it for sure. Okay, so as promised, we are now on a direct path to the Kimberly mine, and look at the season change in the beautiful forest around this location. And on the way up the road, we started seeing some old buildings that were crumbled around these trees. Now this area is very overgrown, and we're going to show you what's left with some beautiful pictures of the fall scenery in this beautiful mine in the hills. And what's left of Kimberly Ghost Town in the Tushar Mountains. And in 1888, prospectors came to this area, and they looked for old mines that had already been used, and by luck, they came across two main veins of both gold and silver, and founded the Gold Mountain Mining District in April of 1889, and this is what's left. You can see the old buildings where people used to live, some old cans on the ground, but there's not much standing except that beauty right there in the middle of the woods. And take a look at how amazing it is surrounded by these trees changing color. Now Kimberly became a boom town. With the mill in place, the abundance of silver and gold and other precious metals, the town was divided into Upper and Lower Kimberly. The lower part began as a business district, and the upper the residential area. Now this was a very historic town, but there's just not that much left standing. But you can see the cyanide mill on the hill surrounded in all those beautiful trees. Now the contour of this canyon is much like a horseshoe, so it just kind of winded around the road. There was a school, a dance hall, a post office, a doctor's office, and 2 or 3 general stores that served this area. And there were some specialty shops as well, including a slaughterhouse and 3 livery stables to take care of all the animals that lived in the area. And of course, you had to have saloons and a couple of hotels. But those don't exist here anymore. Now you can just see the remnants of what was the town. And you know, you kind of feel it when you're up here. It's very secluded, very hard to get to, and I can't imagine what they went through in the winter to get the supplies up to this area. But this is what's left of some of the shacks where the miners and residents would have lived in this town. We're just going to take a closer look at what's left here on the ground, as we couldn't get close to that cyanide mill, as it is private property and probably not safe. Now this town was approximately 9,000 foot elevation and very difficult to get to in the winter. So a jail was a good idea, since like many other mining towns, it was kind of crazy and wild. And Kimberly's brothels were famous. The drunkenness was commonplace, and the town had problems with violence and murder, because this was the Old West, and the 2-cell jail was said to be the strongest within 100 miles, and it sounds like it needed to be. Now, Peter Kimberly, the owner of this mine originally, was offered $5 million in 1902, but that offer was turned down. But this area ended up going bankrupt and sold at auction for $31,000 in the end. And most of these buildings were all removed and taken down, and Kimberly became a ghost town in 1942. We hope you enjoyed this adventure to Kimberly Ghost Town and other places. And until our next adventure, goodbye from Weekend Escapades, and we'll see you in the next one.